Hello, you beautiful, beautiful souls. Super excited to share this episode with you with my good friend Louis. We grew up together, and the conversation is all about being an aligned creator and building an aligned coaching business. Louis certainly had coaching businesses that were really aligned, and we have a lot of coaches in our audiences. And he's also had coaching businesses that weren't quite aligned with what it is that he wanted to do and how it was that he wanted to live. And this conversation is really important for any aspiring coach that's looking to build a coaching business. If you don't love what you do, all the tools that you need to build the business and to create the amazing change that you want to make in clients they become heavier and heavier and heavier. So dive into this episode. Ahead of that, I would love to give you an update. So this Sunday, we're going to be opening the doors to the upcoming Total Mental Performance Coach Certification. And what that is, it is a training course that I'm delivering over 4.5 months to help you learn exactly to do what I do, which is creating psychological breakthroughs that unlocks performance in completely new and novel ways for clients to ultimately become less stressed, become more calm, become more clear, so they can hit their objectives faster in less time. And I'll be running you through the exact play-by-play playbook, the tools, the techniques, the philosophies, the strategies, and ultimately the framework that I use to take a client from A, stressed, overwhelmed, disengaged, to calm, clear, effective, high-level peak performance. So what I'd love you to do is, if you're interested in learning more about that, then click on the link below. And what we'll do is we will send you all the details on the upcoming certification. And from there, if you want to apply for an interview, then you can come and have a chat with us over here at TMP. Anyway, dive into the episode. Big love and enjoy.
Yes, team. Welcome to another episode of the Total Mental Performance Podcast. Today we have one of my childhood friends, Louis Calvert. Happy birthday, Louis. The day we're shooting this on is actually on your birthday. And today's a spontaneous one. I said, hey, Louis, you want to shoot a podcast? And he went, all right. And an hour later.
Yeah, didn't get dressed for it or anything. Just straight up, let's go.
Here we are.
Hour ago.
Here we are.
Let's get it.
If you want to see Louis crying, go to the previous episode we shot. That would have been 3 years ago now. Or 2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
Had a good cry on that one.
We went super deep on...
Hopefully not on this one.
Story.
Let's see.
Well, we can try.
Yeah, I bet you will.
We can try if you want. But we went super deep on Louis' story, our story together. Me and Louis have got such an extensive history, whether that's going to school together, whether that's boxing, whether that's building businesses, arguing a lot. Louis has an autistic mind, I have ADHD mind, so they hold hands and headbutt each other at the same time.
Perfectly.
It's quite nice. But yeah, Louis, as a recap, what do you do if you're going to introduce yourself to the TMP audience?
Yeah, so this time around, run a program called The Aligned Creator, and I help creative coaches build businesses, pretty much. But it, especially if people have listened to the last one, it kind of stems from that era, which we can go into. But it's really about building a business that is aligned to you, in building a business that's actually unique around your own philosophies, around your own strengths, around the actual purpose and passion that you actually want to be kind of like doing. And then also building a business that's aligned with the way that you actually want to work as well, because, you know, we've both been in this game a long time and we see a lot of people that have a lot of success, money and everything, but they don't like their days, and days are pretty important. So that, and a huge amount of creativity goes into that as well. Huge amount of letting coaches build their business fueled by their creativity, fueled by unique new ideas, and bringing that to the market. One of the things I always like to say is don't let the market happen to you, happen to the market. And you know, you see a lot of coaches following trends, seeing that this reel did good, so they do it themselves, and the market's happening to them. It's all about happening to the market, bringing some new stuff to it, you know.
Yeah And you're a guy that's been coaching for a long time, probably coming up to, I don't know, 12 years now?
10 years.
Maybe,
well,
no, more. No, that's probably more.
12 years. 12 years if we count like personal training.
Yeah. Maybe even longer. That's if we include that, that's 13 years.
Yeah, something like that. And then, but now, birthday, 30 today. It's a weird number. I know that I was like fully started when I was 20. So at least 10 years properly in the game.
And if you was going to give us a whistle-stop tour of that journey, I remember your first coaching business was in the back of our derelict boxing club.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they let us box in there, to be honest.
Yeah, shaking when we're smashing the bags.
So talk us through that. You literally start. So for context, we boxed in an old working men's club. It was derelict. Like the wallpaper was probably from the 60s, maybe the 70s. I'm pretty sure it's filled with asbestos. You punched a bag and the whole building would shake.
A little bit of dust.
Absolutely no central heating, right? So you had to train in a full tracksuit in the winter. Half of the building weren't even allowed in. But you built a personal training studio.
In the back.
Yeah. If we could even call it a studio.
This secret room we've never seen before. There's a whole room here that no one's using. Yeah. So the whistle stop tour, I'll be quick, but basically, terrible in school, didn't get the grades for uni. So there was like, or sixth form or anything. And they was like, what do you want to do as a job? I was like, I don't know. And she was like, well, you could do this career guide. You could be a mechanic because your dad's a mechanic, or you could be a personal trainer because you do boxing. I was like, I'll do that one. Being a mechanic's
training.
really cold.
Yeah.
I tried that before. I'll do that one. Had no idea actually what it was. Got into that. As we said, started off in the back of the gym, £10 sessions. Actually, the first session was actually in a field, but that was like the second or third session. Made my little makeshift gym in the back of there, 2 or 3 clients a night when boxing was on at least. That was fun. And then I very quickly wanted to build my online side of the business. I got into the gym, PTing in there, very quickly wanted to build the online side of the business. And it's so funny, I was stuck at like under 2K months for probably years, because no one knew what online coaching was. And I look back and I was like, you'd have probably seen them, you might have liked them. It was my Facebook state was like, online coaching now available. Yeah. DM me if you're interested. And it was like, no one knew what that was at the time. So it took a while. Built that to a really good level. That's when we started traveling around a little bit. We ended up in Dubai, of course. Fell out of love with the fitness thing. Short version, basically, worked with a hypnotherapist, Big Russell. And I realized that a lot of the things that I was doing in the gym and in my business that were kind of completely related was driven by a lot of insecurities. As soon as
really?
That was the whole thing.
Come on.
No, can you believe it? And as soon as they were gone, I was like, I don't think I like this very much, actually. This was just helpful when I had those, when I was running away from these things. And then I got into this weird space where I was like, what do I want to do now? It was still running. But I was like, what do I want to do now? It just didn't feel the same as it did before. And I think just, there'll be potential clients listening for you, right? I think that's a fear for a lot of people. Like, I'm going to work with a hypnotherapist, mental performance coach, and I might not be motivated anymore. And it's interesting because that kind of happened to me in the short term. I wasn't motivated anymore, but on the other side of it, looking back, you would never choose to be motivated for that again because it's motivated on the wrong things. And what that did was allowed me to actually think, what do I want to bring to the world? What do I actually want to spend my life doing? What do I want to be known for? Then I created the Power Project, helping men. This sounds embarrassing now when I say it, but reclaim their power and take charge of their life and find purpose. That was kind of the offer, and that's why it was very, very hard to sell, because everyone listening right now is like, okay, what did you actually do? Yeah. Don't know. It worked well when people joined. It was transformative, but that put me through probably 2.5 years of the toughest point in business ever. Me and Kieran spent a lot of time during that time, and you know what it was like. And it was interesting. Looked great on the front, on the outside.
It looked beautiful.
You
on made
the outside.
A beautiful brand.
Content was great.
Yeah, that looked nice.
The Stripe account felt it though, and when people joined, they absolutely loved it, and the retention was amazing, but actually getting the sales was really hard. 2.5 years of that, and then there was a point when I realized a lot of the people that were joining, I looked at the last 10 people that joined, and inside the Power Project, for a little bit more context, there was man, mind, mission. The 3 M's we would work on: man, physical, mind. Mission being like what you want to do in this world, purpose, and often it was some sort of business. I look back at the last 10 people, and this was when I was realizing, my offer's terrible. This doesn't make sense to 90% of people. They don't really know what they're going to be getting. And I knew that I had to kind of get it a bit clearer. I look back at the last 10 people, and they all joined. 7 of them joined because they wanted to find their purpose and turn it into an online business. I was like, okay, that sounds fun. Then I realized my sneaky little, my secret thing that I actually wanted for people joining was, secretly, I wanted their purpose, their mission to be to build. I wanted to get them confident enough to go and build a coaching business, because that's the thing I could actually help with. Any other business, I don't know how to do it. So I realized that's actually kind of what I wanted anyway. So that's when I started to, take away a lot of the things that were kind of making it muddy, and go really hard in helping these people find their passion and turn it into profit. And that's where Passion to Profit began. 90 days that lived. I was helping 9-to-5ers get out of their job and build a coaching business. And I've never had a 9-to-5. So very quickly, and I'd been in business at this point for about 7 years or whatever, very quickly I realized, this is not very aligned. And most of the people that were actually coming to me were already coaches, because they'd seen me throughout the years. So that's where the Aligned Creator was born. And here we are, helping coaches build aligned businesses.
Here we are. I want to go back, because I know your story. I've been there, and I've seen it and observed it, cheered you on and argued with you about it. And I think when you were in on your bodybuilding days, and that was what you were selling, you were aligned. You were so in. That was your world. And one thing that you did really well that impressed me was you had your online business before COVID. And then when a lot of people folded, you were like, no, I am not giving up. You don't drop your fitness goals, even though COVID's happening. And I think I was training with you, at the time as well. And the way in which you were setting up plans and getting everyone to do everything right, resistance bands, and put everything in a bucket and lift it. Like you really answered that war cry and said, right, we're doing this, And then when we got to Dubai, I wouldn't be in Dubai without Louis. I've lived there 5 years now, coming up to 5 years, just under. It was never my plan. It was never my intention. But Louis got me a speaking gig out there, and then we got locked out because of COVID. We never came back. And
2 years, packed for 1 week, and stayed there for an entire year without leaving, didn't we?
Changed everything.
Out of the same suitcase.
And what I noticed is where you were so locked in, aligned at that stage for where you were, and this is something that's super important for coaches to realize, is that if you're not aligned with the people that you work with and the result and the delivery mechanism of your coaching service, you will fall out of love with that. Sometimes you will change as an individual, thus the thing that got you out of bed in the morning in a coaching business before isn't the thing that's going to get you out of bed anymore. And for you, you'd got to Dubai, you were built a really good business, you had more cash than ever, more distractions than ever, and you were doing some inner work around insecurities and doubts and fears. And there was almost like this uncoupling to a degree where I really want the Power Project to work. And you've got a really powerful quality that's also, like all of us, our brightest lights are our darkest shadows. And you have a level of doggedness and stubbornness, which works because it enables you to get through tough times. But then sometimes till it's the wrong thing, and then you're so stubborn, you're so dogged. It's like, come on, Louis. Like,
lasts for a long time.
Yeah. And you have to kind of stay in that. That doggedness essentially kept you stuck. And I remember there was a period of time where once you'd made those internal shifts, the doggedness of the Power Project and how attached you were to making that work and forcing that to work, it became super clear that an evolution needed change. As you look at that, what are the biggest lessons that you took staying in a coaching mechanism and a marketing mechanism and trying to push something that wasn't quite right? And what was the breaking point for you to go, I don't do this anymore?
Well, there's two sides. So the first one is when it was the fitness business. And as you said, like, I was so aligned with it initially.
I loved
it. It was everything.
Yeah.
I was
also one of your clients, and you were always coming back to me, and I could see, he loves this.
Yeah, and it can be felt, can't it? And when I fell out of love with the game myself, because we're all an aligned business, we are usually doing in the game ourselves, and we're also sharing that with other people and helping them do the same thing. When I stopped loving it myself, you can feel it in every single area of the business. You might remember when we was living together at the time, and do you remember I had like a team doing lots of things. Do you remember this? I had a team doing other things. I was like, I feel so bored now.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I realized I was like, I built this team and it was good, but I built the team because I didn't want to do the work anymore because I was bored of it. And I was just unfulfilled. And then you're unfulfilled, and then you start doing it all like just make it like robotically, just to get it done more than anything else. I had someone writing my posts and everything, right now, like that's my favorite thing to do is write. And I love writing, but then
you're writing about the right things.
Yeah, exactly. I can't bother to write about that. Had someone writing that and everything else, and before you know it, you're not the person that people were magnetized to in the first place. Like, no matter how big the business is, until it gets huge, like, people are being drawn to the person. And that's one of the biggest things that I see holds a lot of coaches back. And it's not nice for some people to hear, but when you're not living the game that you're helping people with, and you're not inspiring yourself, and you're just kind of like hoping people choose you for some reason, but you're not anything near inspiring to the person you want to work with, it doesn't work very well. Like, you're fighting an uphill battle. So I made the shift to the Power Project without knowing any of the reasons why my fitness business did work up until that point. Made the shift to the Power Project, and here's where it gets a bit complicated, because the Power Project was super aligned. I was waking up really excited.
I remember you loved it.
I was my clients loved it. I was creating amazing things. My group calls with clients, I'd come off ecstatic, and it would be Dubai time, so I'd be like 11 or 12 at midnight or something.
Ruining sleep as usual.
Could never sleep. Yeah, exactly.
I was still awake.
Texting
you like, hey man.
How was it cool? So it was super aligned. I absolutely loved it, but then it has to also be aligned with the market. So that's alignment can also be a tricky one, because when you're chasing so much, what do I want? Full stop. You can miss the strategic element, which is what do other people want at the same time. And a huge insight that I found, and this is kind of like the main thing that hopefully will help someone that's listening and maybe in this as well. After the work with Russell, the hypnotherapist, when I felt I was like a completely different person on the other side. I was like, I need my business to be my purpose. And then I was doing lots of work. I went, the men's group when I was over in California, all of this kind of stuff, working on like this purpose stuff, finding purpose. And I had this idea of what my purpose was, which was the tagline that I said before. And my biggest mistake in Power Project was I thought that my business had to be my purpose. And I thought it had to be a one-on-one replica. I was like, cool, if that's my purpose statement for me that fires me up, that I want to go and be known for and doing the what, my business has to be the same thing. What I realize now, I use this camera, is your purpose by definition is wide and vast, and it's never ending, and it encompasses so many different things. Like your purpose, you should live your purpose when you buy a coffee. You know what I mean? You should want to give the person that gives you the coffee that same feeling. So purpose is huge. And I was trying to keep my business this huge, which is why there were so many things. I was like, well, that's part of my purpose, so put it in. But then no one knows what they're buying. So I realized that the purpose can be this big, but your business is a vehicle for the purpose, but not the purpose as a whole. As soon as I realized that, I could be so much, it still wants to be aligned with it, but as soon as I realized that, I could be so much more strategic in what the offer was, what the business was, and then also, on the other hand, what my brand was, which can encompass a lot more.
Without a doubt. And if you think about that stubbornness that you've got and that doggedness to just keep going, right? You believe in yourself and you back yourself. So that almost was like a double bind, because it was like, I love what I do so much that this will work. This sales vehicle, this thing, because the business equals me. And I think that's a big trap that a lot of coaches fall into is, I am the business. Everything's got to feel authentic. Everything's got to be me. And that's not to say that you become inauthentic. And that's not to say that you become someone that you're not. But you do have to have a healthy separation between the business of coaching and you and the person. And it was like you were imposing your will of, this is who I am and this is the offer. And your offer essentially became Louis. But as you've learned, as you've gone on your journey around offer mechanics, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You know, and I think seeing you go through that and make those shifts and make those changes in all areas of life was huge. I'll never forget there was one day where Louis just went, right, this has all got to stop. I don't know if it was to do with the Power Project. I don't know if it was to do with Dubai. I blame your girlfriend Lucy stealing you from me. Lucy didn't live in Dubai. She lived in Manchester. But there was this one day me and Louis lived we were neighbours living in the same building. He's in the apartment next to me. And we sat down and he went, yeah, I'm out. I went, what? He's like, what's the point? Why am I here? I don't want any of this. I'll never forget. We were sat on the sofas downstairs in the Hive. And he went, yeah, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And our original plan for me and Louis was to travel to a different location every 3 months. And we went to Valencia and went, we love it here, we're never leaving. And then went to Dubai, got kicked out because of the 90-day thing. Yeah. Stayed in Dubai. It was like, right, after Dubai, we're going to travel to all these different places. COVID happened. And then it was like, oh, we love it here, let's stay.
We like it.
Yeah, let's stay anyway. And then it never worked. But I remember that moment where you were like, right, I'm going to make some changes. And I think that was a combination of the inner work. It was Lucy stealing you from our grasps. And it was also you just recognizing that the character that you'd built for the reality that you was in, and the identity shift was so abrupt. It just seemed obvious that you just went, which then put you into your next thing.
Yeah, I remember doing this. I remember it was like a couple of things happened at the same time. And I remember just feeling, I was like, what am I feeling right now? I didn't know what I was feeling. I was just sitting there in the apartment on my own. I was like, what am I feeling right now? And I felt trapped, because I was looking and I was like, I want to get out of here, but I didn't really want to like go anywhere else. And at the time, I didn't want to pay rent here and rent somewhere else at the same time. Wanted to go back to the UK, but then I was like, well, then I'm gonna like stay over the time I'm allowed to stay back. Then I'm gonna have to pay tax there. That's not gonna be ideal too. And I was like, what the fuck are all these rules that I'm listening to? Like, what the fuck? that's not what I want to do. So then I left. It was like 2 days later, wasn't it? I was like, right, see you later. Went to Spain on my own for a whole month, and just I remember this. This is when I got into cigars. Spain, a whole month on my own. Not talking to anyone,
and you got so sick.
Yeah, I got. What do you think? Yeah, you think there's some weird symbolism in that? Because that was the illest I've ever been, by the way.
Yeah. I've seen you being healthy and unhealthy for a long time, and you were texting me, and we were talking on the phone sometimes. I was thinking, he's not good. Like he's really not good. Yeah. Maybe it was symbolic. Maybe it was your central nervous system. If you look at things like ayahuasca ceremonies, I've experienced one in Peru. You are actually purging. You are actually vomiting, and there is like a purge, and maybe that maybe you just got unlucky and you got a bad virus. Maybe the universe sent it over to you, which is like, right, I got to clear myself out now and let go of these old thoughts, feelings, habits, behaviors.
Makes sense, because as I said, it was the illest I've ever been, and during that time, that's when I got into cigars. I was smoking a cigar on the balcony every single day, and I was doing the Jordan Peterson self-authoring on the balcony every single day. Just getting
that's a life-changing tool.
Yeah,
I
get it super clear.
I send that to so many people.
Yeah,
clients, friends, people that I think could help. I send them that way.
Yeah, that was a useful time. I think the Power Project was still there for a while after that, but that's when the cog started turning towards like, how does this need to look now, you know? And I think that's something that's essential when we are stuck in something when we're stuck in the same environment and the same routines that we can't change, and we're looking for the next thing. We're looking at what's next, what's the new thing. I think it's very useful to get out of those situations, get out of the same routines, and definitely as well, for me at least, it was like, go to a place where no one knows you. Being
alone.
Yeah, like I could have been anyone in Spain. No one knew me, you know? So we have our own identity, but then we also have like the identity people have about us. And then we've both experienced this, you know, if you go back home to old friends and they expect you to be some way, there's a certain, like, you can get drawn back into that, you know? So it's hard to, if you know there's a shift that needs to be made, it's hard to do that when there's lots of people around you that are bringing you back to who they know you as.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very useful time.
I think being alone as well forces you to face yourself. Unless you sit there and scroll on Instagram the whole time, which you've defeated the point and the purpose of that. But yeah, it was almost like you went there and you just spent that space to go, right, I'm going to rewrite myself and figure that out. The aligned... Go on. You had something?
There's another interesting... one interesting thing as well that I realized, and like, again, if anyone's in a similar situation, I think this will be really useful. And this kind of speaks to, you know, how you say, you know, slowing down to speed up, or it might not exactly be that, but like, I was very one-dimensional, you know. I think we can all be at times, and coaches definitely can, because so often we're doing something that we love so much, and it's like, it's so much of everything that we do. I realized working with someone that a lot of my personal needs were met by my business. Like my feeling of, like, my want for creativity, my want for fun and fulfillment, all of these things were actually being met by my business. And that's, maybe that sounds like a good thing to some people, but it actually puts you in a bit of a compromised position, which is when your needs start to shift, you start to make business changes based on personal needs. And that's what I was doing. You know, I was, I don't like this anymore, and I'm not getting my feeling of creativity, or I'm not getting my feeling of fulfillment or something. And then straight away, instead of being able to meet that need in something else that's nothing to do with business, and being able to stay logical in the business and make logical business decisions, I was making business decisions based on personal needs.
Based on Louis.
And and that was, and that, you know, you're going to keep chasing that, and then nothing's going to be stable. So that was another thing I realized during that time.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but Total Mental Performance, I made that brand split really early. Like when it got to the point where I was like, I'm going to hire another coach, I made that separation on purpose. And the reason I made the separation between Kieran and Total Mental Performance on purpose was because if Total Mental Performance's revenue would go down, that would mean my perceived value could go down. If I believed all of my value and all of my identity was coming through Kieran O'Neill coaching versus Total Mental Performance, I think creating a healthy boundary and a split between you and the business is so important, because you can't control the business, you can't control the market. And if you have built your whole identity around a brand or a business specifically, and that underperforms, it's not, we had a low revenue month. It's fucking hell, I am a failure. I am a loser. And that's where the one-dimensional part can really hold you back.
100%.
And I think when you can make that split, you can look at things more objectively, whether that's your profit and loss, and you look through the numbers, you go, this channel ain't checking out. Cool. Versus, oh man, I tried this thing and it didn't work and I'm an idiot. So it is definitely important. And I think you've really done a great job at cutting that out, because the Power Project was just Louis. It was just Louis.
Oh, I like this now. Let's throw it in.
Yeah. When you had your when you discovered breathwork.
Yeah, throw that in.
Yeah, you threw that into the business, and then next thing you know, I was like, I remember actually saying to you, I don't actually understand what this is. It's like, is it a breathwork business?
Nobody
Is it mission? Is it purpose?
It is.
And you're like, bro, it's the Power Project.
It's provocative.
What does it mean? No one knows what it means. It's provocative. Yeah, that was the
whole business idea. Keep them guessing, baby.
The Kanye West approach to offers. Yeah. But I think what you've built now, like it really is, it's aligned.
It's aligned,
It's
and it works.
Yeah, that's what it's called, is the aligned creator,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes coaches can be too quick to double down on one or the other, insofar as you've got the delivery of coaching or you've got the business of coaching. And my understanding of what an aligned creator is you love the delivery and you love the business that you build.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from my experience as a former software sales professional. I've sold products that I've loved. I've sold products that I didn't give a shit about. I've sold products that I actually detested, but I don't think I detested, but I didn't like, but I was in a financial situation that gave me the motivation to go, well, I need to sell this. I don't really have a choice. But once you get your needs met, it's really hard to sell and market a product or a service if you don't believe in it and you're not aligned. And from what you've experienced of total alignment on who you are and what you're doing, but not necessarily, but trying to imprint that on a business model and a marketing perspective, going too far on that side, you've also gone the other side where you've just gone sales only, whereas you weren't aligned as the creator. And now you've got that space where you love what you do, the market needs it, you understand your offer mechanics, but you don't need to inject your own personal things that you like and you're interested in that. And you've created a level of alignment but detachment that enables you to continue to push the business because you love and you enjoy it, and scaling that gives you more fun, more opportunities, and you want to do the work that you sell, so you're growing into abundance versus into pain or scarcity, and you've made the process a lot more fun.
100%, and that's a big one as well. So obviously, when you're aligned to the thing that you're doing, and it works, and you're aligned to what it's doing at the same time, you're always thinking creatively about it. And the thing that excites me the most, and one of the things that I think is the best way to grow a business, is using your creativity. There's either, you can build it with creativity or you can build it with force. And loads of people build it with force. But it's not kind of the business that excites me. You can build it with who can send the most DMs, who can add the most people, who can do all of these things. And it works. But what I'm more excited about is who can come up with the most useful, unique, new idea for that niche to be able to get the result in a more desirable, different way. And then, make that idea famous in the market. Any book that we read, or not any book, but a lot of the books we read, they're built around these mechanisms. They're built around big ideas. You heard about Atomic Habits before you heard about James Clear. You may have heard about Key Person of Influence before you heard about Daniel Priestley, for example. Like these people, or Profit First before Mike something. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, something like that. You hear about the big idea first. They are playing a bigger game where we're coming up with ideas and making them famous, and that's what excites me. And the second part to that is also aligned with how you like to deliver, and well, not even deliver, but aligned to how you want to operate, staying in your zone of genius. So as you know, the thing that I would always procrastinate with Power Project, or even before, was creating new things for the program, right? I loved it. I loved being
systems, SOPs, they're going to go around here
and trainings and all this. I'd love to get, like, that was what I realized was I just loved being creative. I love to be able to create something that ends up as an asset that lasts for a long time. Like, if my week, I've come out of the week and there's an asset there that is going to continue to be valuable at scale for a long time without me doing anything, and part of me is inside it, it's been creative, that is what excites me the most. So the whole model, the Align Creator model that I use and my clients use, is all based around that same thing. So it's for the creative coaches that love that kind of things as well. They love to be able to create new ideas and stuff. So we create for our clients. We create assets that are going to be useful for them. We sell that to our audience. When they buy that, many of them are going to become clients anyway. So that becomes the sales process. The marketing process is just talking about these ideas as well. And then when you're ready, we run ads to the best big idea. So globally, we're spreading it, we're selling it. The people that are buying that are paying for the ads, and we just keep getting new buyers on our list. So it's kind of quite a different way to do things. But I've just built a whole operational system that allows me to stay in my zone of genius. So I don't have to do sales calls. I don't have to send a load of DMs. I don't have to do any of the stuff that I don't like doing or I procrastinate on anyway. And it's all built on how creative can I be and how useful and good can my ideas be.
Just hearing all of that and playing with that just gave me an idea.
Hey, what is it?
Existence OS.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Existence OS. Because essentially what I'm hearing here is what I help a lot of my clients do, which is
Pay to exist is what I always say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? It's to help them curate an existence, become the person that curates the said existence that they want, and move towards their goals more with achieving their goals in less time, with less stress, spending less money, and enjoying the journey and the existence of life. And you and I have spent so much time together. We've been playing with these existential ideas all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, why do you want to live like that? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? But if you can build that existence OS, which is, well, here's how I want to move through my reality, and this is the activities that I would love to do, and this is the business that I would like to build, and here is the revenue and the financials that I need to live that existence and live in that way, then it comes down, that's the strategy. All right, I want to land on that area of the video game of life. That's the map. I haven't quite built it yet. I need to become the person that builds it. But then also it's actually finding the right programmers or the tacticians to go, how do I take this idea, execute that, and get it there?
100%. That's so much like... So when people are coming up with offers and they're getting them wrong, it's usually because they are too vague and too broad, right? So if there's any like life coaches or anything like that listening, and they have an offer that's like, I will help you build a life by design, it never works, because you're kind of trying to sell something that people don't know what it is yet. You're trying to sell the car with the curtains still over it, and you're like, come on, buy this car, it'd be really good. It kind of sounds good.
Sign up to the Power Project.
Yeah. They're like, cool, I'll help you find your purpose and make it into reality. Cool.
You'll have more power.
What is that?
You'll have more power.
Yeah.
What do I do with that?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So like the life by design one is a good example, and exactly what you just said. Like in these coaching businesses, a lot of the time we are partly the aspirational identity. The people want some aspects of what we've got and what we've been able to do and what we've been able to achieve. It doesn't have to be all of it, but a lot of it. So often, for example, if someone has, I'll help you build a life by design, bad offer. But if they can go inwards and they can think, what's my life by design? Like, what are my actual values and philosophies, and what do I actually want? They will be, just oversimplifying everything, they will be so much better off selling that. My life by design is being able to travel to a new country every single month with my wife and kids, and being in this kind of shape or whatever else. Creating the operating system to be able to do that, and saying, you can have this life, not a life by design, but this life. I'll teach you to have that. That is one easy way to kind of think, what's going to be a better offer than that? Yeah.
I did a one-to-one in-person session recently with a client, and we got 5 minutes in. I just went, "You feel trapped, don't you, mate?" And he went, "Yeah, I feel trapped. Yeah, I can feel that." He goes, "How do I stop feeling trapped?" And instead of diving into, well, where do you feel trapped? Like, what is it that's going on? I just said to him, give him a pen on the whiteboard, and I said, design the perfect day for me. What does a perfect day look like? And then he tried to design it with constraints of, well, I could never do it this way because of this. I said, no, stop. Blank canvas. What does a perfect day look like? And he's like, wake up and walk the dog by the beach and come back and coffee and like enjoy this. And he wrote that all down. I went, great. What does a perfect week look like? Generally, what's happening within that week? Wow, I get to be creative here. I have more space. I get to work on a deeper level with my consultancy clients versus what I'm currently doing. And we started to break it all down by day, week, month, quarter, year. And I said, right, let's just play with some numbers here. Like, give me a finger in the air. Roughly how much do we need to finance this life? If this is truly important. And he got to his number. I went, right, okay, gotcha. And where is your current business at? And what we realized was, number one, he'd taken the business as far as it could grow from both a scale perspective and a profitability perspective. Like, he'd just maxed out and he'd hit that glass ceiling. But also that delivery model and that business model would never take him towards the perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this real, like, coming to Jesus moment of, I've just reached the end of this path. Now, some people think, I don't have to start again. But actually, there's a number of different lateral moves that you can take in order to move you back towards that. And I think it's only when you reverse engineer from, well, how do you want to exist, and the skills, the resources, the capital, everything you've done up until that point, are there any lateral moves? Or is it you just need to change the way in which you deliver? Or is it as simple as maybe you've got to solve for a different problem? But it's only when you begin with the end in mind, and it's often harder to ask the questions, what do I actually want? Because we have to face ourselves and realize there's some things in our life right now we don't actually want, and we're afraid to face that, because that means having hard conversations, that means letting people down, that means being so vulnerable and intimate with yourself and with someone else about your true, deep down desires. That can be quite scary, unsettling. So it's much easier to run back to your spreadsheet and just start selling again, and to avoid that outcome. And for that client, now that we painted the end, we begun with the end in mind, and we painted that picture. Now he's looking at different pivots within his current business, but then he's looking at entirely new paths or lateral moves altogether. And all of a sudden, his biggest block before that session was creativity. I don't feel creative. I can't get anything done. Now he's got so much creativity. We're having to calm him down. Like, right, let's just test that. And I think, for me anyway, the ultimate driver of performance is alignment, and it's working towards an existence that is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And for so long, you and I were in existences where they weren't really worth fighting for, you know?
It's funny you say that, because that's a similar process that I will take people through as they kind of come up with their aligned offer. We have in there the vision protocol, and they will go from their big long goals of like the purpose ideas, like what would they want to be known for, what do they want to be doing, what impact do they want to have, all the way down to perfect average day, perfect average week, and stuff like that. And then what we do, you said about constraints, he was writing constraints that were already imposed on him. What we do is we do it the other way around. So then once we're clear on the perfect average day, the perfect average week, then we say, what constraints do we need to put on the business? Because I always say that constraints create creativity. If you're allowed to work 16-hour days from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, Monday to Sunday, you're never going to find leverage, because you don't need to, you know? So we'll look at, what constraints do we need to put in? So you don't want to work weekends, bang. You don't want to do sales calls, bang. You don't want to, these are mine. These I don't want to do sales calls. I don't want to work, actually I work weekends. I don't work on Sundays. And then I only want to do 10 hours of Zoom a week. So we put them in, and then that gives you the constraints, which is like, cool, I've now got a problem to solve. Because creativity is great, but like the business creativity often comes from, we need to identify the problem first. Like, it's not just like crazy ideas all of the time. It's like, well, once we identify the problem, we can start to reverse engineer, like, how do we actually solve that? So when we work backwards and we've got the constraints in place, then we can ask ourselves, would that actually work? Could I sell these without sales calls? What would need to happen? Well, they need to be sold on the front end. Maybe if we sell them a little bit of something and they can experience the coaching first, then before you know it, you have the business you want.
Yeah, constraints is quite cool. One of my mentors, you know who, or you know him. He told me this 7 years ago. One of the constraints he has is he can only work in the consultancy work that he does. He can only work 100 days a year, and he can only earn a minimum of $500,000. And that was like his way of saying, I want to play golf most of the time, and I want to invest in the various different technology businesses that I invest in, and that was all. And I thought that was such a cool constraint that he put on himself. And he's like, I can't work more than 100 days a year. So then he'd figured out his day rate based on that, based on the minimum. So his minimum day rate was obviously, $500,000 divided by 100, and then he went, right, I've just got to sell more days at that rate. Hey, if I sell them at double that rate, I can work half the time, and that was sometimes by putting a constraint on economic output, on your production capacity, and then also on your creative output, actually that enables you to work more efficiently and have better ideas. Because otherwise, if you just have this open, infinite day to be creative, it's like, where are you gonna go with that? You know?
Yeah, and it answers a lot of questions, especially for coaches that are listening. The biggest problem a lot of coaches have is shiny object syndrome. They're jumping from idea to idea, and or mechanism to mechanism, system to system. Problem is, they actually all work. Like there's very rarely there's something that just doesn't work. Most of the time, if it's being spoken about, it works, and you can find someone who it works for. So then it's, especially if someone's in that kind of place where they're kind of looking for the next answer, they've got a million different pathways ahead of them. So when we can start with, well, what existence do we want? What days do we want? And what constraints do we want to work around? Then you can, 90% of all options are now turned off. And then you can select out of the 10% of the ones that actually solve the problem that we're actually looking for. Because most people just need to stick to the thing that the thing that they want to make work, and figure out how to make it work, as opposed to, this didn't work for a month, I need to change to something else.
Yeah. But then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where you're so dogged that you keep trying to do the same thing and it's not working, and it's always a balancing act. But you are right. Like, if you want to get really good at email, eventually you will crack the code to email.
Yeah.
If you want to get really good at ads, eventually, if you care about it enough, you'll get good at that. Which is a blessing and a curse. I do think some people are suited to more things than others. Like, for me, I'm more suited towards podcasts because I struggle to sit down and concentrate. My ADHD, you've seen me in a coffee shop trying to sit down and how scattered my mind is. Whereas in here, I could shoot 6 hours of podcasts and I'm just locked in, and it's effortless. So I like this channel. I like this medium. I'm not going to say whether I'm good at it or not. Self-proclaim this is the best podcast in the world, but it's something that has worked for me and opens many doors, whether that's just meeting new people, whether that's people that are listening and they're like, I want to work with Kieran or his team. I'm going to reach out and raise my hand. And when you can find a channel that you enjoy and you can see that actually that channel, not only do I enjoy and not only can I be good at it, but it can generate the results or the outcomes that I want. Like, it comes back to being the aligned creator. You will create in that space longer, more consistently,
and better.
Yeah, and better.
In my coaching, we talk about finding your unfair advantage. Like, business is a lot easier if you've got your unfair advantage, but it doesn't need to be big things. It doesn't always need to be big things, So, if you're coaching bodybuilders and you are like a top bodybuilding athlete or whatever, that's a great unfair advantage. You're going to use that, but they're not always that obvious. So, like, I'm always looking, especially with clients and myself as well. Well, what are my like internal unfair advantages that I should lean into that other people might think is a waste of time? For example, like I really like making images look good. Like, I like to post images and play around with the edit a little bit, like play around with the colors and stuff, and make.
I'll never forget you took a picture of me in Valencia, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, I messed with this little setting, and I just got you at that angle." And I was like, "How did you do it?" I was with an iPhone back then,
and that's a tiny little thing. Like, so the add up, that's a tiny little thing, but it's not going to be a game changer in the business, but it's a tiny little unfair advantage because I like doing it. And it's a very easy thing for people to say, that's not really going to make a difference. But if you're doing something different than other people and you just like it anyway, and you're kind of naturally drawn to it, it's a great unfair advantage. Like, there's someone else, a client of mine, who really likes making her reels on Instagram, really like cinematic. Like, she really likes to think about the aesthetic and making it look good and stuff. And that's the last thing I like doing. I hate reels in general anyway. I hate short form content in general anyway. I don't like doing it. So it's the last thing I'm going to do. And, if she just looks at her business coach, me, and models too closely, she's going to lose her unfair advantage. And it's not a thing that's going to completely change the game for her, but it's these little things that we can just start to stack up and add up that she literally just enjoys anyway. So she's always going to do it better than anyone else. So it's finding these little These little things we just like to spend our time doing, these little unfair advantages and making sure that we're leaning in.
I'm curious, what do you think my unfair advantages are? Like, because you've seen, like, for context, technically, Louis was my first business coach. Like, cool story. First ever paid client, remember, was Louis was there. Louis observed my first ever coaching sale.
Yeah, we were watching boxing in the pub, weren't we?
Yeah, I'm going to make it deeper than that, right? Louis' uncle, Martin, he changed our lives. He was like our superhero, and unfortunately, he passed away. We decided to travel, so we moved to Valencia. And the apartment that I booked didn't even look where it was, just pretty central. It was on the St. Martin Street. And then we went to go watch the boxing in the St. Martin's pub.
Yeah, and we chose it because of that as well. We chose it because it said St. Martin. We'll choose that one.
Yeah, we'll go to that pub. Yeah, and it happened to have the boxing on.
Which
was wild. So we were on St. Martin Street in the St. Martin's pub.
Fight?
No, it was Dillian White versus Povetkin. Yeah, he got knocked out.
Yeah,
beautiful knockout. I actually practiced that. It was I think he went slip, lead uppercut, left hook. I think it was. I think it was like slip, lead uppercut, left hook, game over. Good night. Beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was good.
And in there, we met a guy, Cockney Dave. Shout out to Cockney Dave. And I told him what I was doing, and I was working. Well, at that point, I'd already done 100 hours for free, and I was just working with people for free to practice the therapy, the cognitive therapy part of what I do. And he said, I'll pay you. And I went, no, I'm doing it just for experience. No, I'll pay you. And then I said, all right. He goes, how much do you want? And I said, 70 euros. And he goes, we'll call it 50. And he went, I went, all right, deal.
We'll call it 50.
Yeah. And then you helped me set up Stripe. You showed me how Stripe worked. I didn't know what Stripe was and how it worked. And then you helped me with a lot of just little questions like, what do you have in an agreement? Or how do you take payments? Or, like how would you deal with like all these various different things like you really, really helped me with. And then you saw me building up that private practice and then eventually building TMP and scaling to coaches, and we've lived together. So I'm curious about your perspective of my unfair advantage, unless I have none.
Well, I think inside like coaching and delivery, you do mental performance coaching, hypnotherapy. Some of the unfair advantages are boxing, having done well in some sort. There are a lot of, like, I know you're not a mindset coach, but there are a lot of like mindset coaches. They get a mindset coaching qualification and they're like, cool, ready for my clients, but they've never really done anything in their life, and they have a hard time. So like, there's boxing in there, and then there's also the corporate, the corporate kind of
software
jobs
sales
that you've had, wherever they have been, selling things and stuff like that for a lot of money. I think those two things, in terms of the just in terms of the service delivery and everything, really do come in a lot. And now, at this point now, one of your undeniable unfair advantages is just the people that you've been able to work with. That helps,
Yeah.
And then I think in terms of you as a person, it's you just kind of like, you just do things quite fast. You know what I mean? You don't overthink things, or you don't, I think if me and you were on a scale, if we both don't check ourselves, I think I'm here and you're here in terms of like our own self-identity. And then let's say our truth is both here. I think
so the truth is in the middle.
Yeah,
and then,
this is the truth. And like, I think you see yourself as like greater than you can do, and then you can you just go, fuck it, I'll do it, I'll figure it out. And I can be slow sometimes if I'm not careful, because I'll see myself as lower than the truth. Yeah. But I think the truth is in the middle.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing. I think you're right about the boxing and the software sales. It definitely, and the cognitive hypnotherapy, because there's a lot of people that don't go to the therapy level depth of change, which I think for any performance coach that's working in the mind, you've got to be able to unpack somebody's doubts, fears, insecurities in their childhood. Not always, but there will be moments where it's all great having designed the perfect existence, but there will be trauma in there, capital T, little t trauma, that actually creates a limiting belief and keeps you stuck doing the same thing that you didn't want. So when you couple that with the 10 years of boxing, making the national team, and the software sales and everything I learned in those environments, and then being an entrepreneur and building and scaling a company, and the study, that definitely is there. And then the speed thing, our brightest lights are also our darkest shadows, right? So the speed thing, I agree. I've been able to prove or disprove things very quickly. But the problem with that is that's also led to impulsivity and making business decisions where it's like, oh, we'll prove it or disprove it and then move on really fast. That's a great thing. But I probably could have saved myself a lot of money on various investments that I made if I just slowed down a little bit. Whereas you'll think about these things. And that was where we worked quite well as a team, but we also infuriated each other because I'll be like, Louis, let's book the apartment right now. And you're like, well, let's just slow this down and let's figure this out. And let's just slow this. Yeah. And then sometimes we'd lose it, and I'd be like, "I told you!" And then we'd pick one, and you're like, "That was the right one." And then, unfair advantages are interesting. I think your unfair advantage is the autistic part of your brain that has the ability to do the same thing again and again and again and again. I don't have that level of discipline to really get to the levels of depth, and with that. You are able to create repeatable systems and simplify things for people, and you just go and you go and you go and you go and you go. Obviously, the boxing and the bodybuilding as well. I think that's also part of your unfair advantage. And also, you're quite interested in the softer side, because a lot of people that work in business, it is pretty black or white. Look at the spreadsheets. Did you hit your target? Did you hit your not? Where's your numbers? Whereas you're more esoteric. You want to know, how does that make you feel? You're very kinesthetic led, so you can feel into problems and you can feel into people, and I think that's also part of it where you can offer. It's not just about how much money do you want to make. It's like, well, actually, how do you want to exist? And there's not many people, from what I see, that are doing what you're doing. That's looking more at what is your meaning and your purpose and the existence that you want to go and grow a business. That's what I see.
Thank you. I think that's true, and this is like part of building an aligned offer is building an offer that no one can deliver better than you. And it only comes from leaning into these unfair advantages. And a lot of people will, let's say they're a fitness coach, and they're like, cool, I'm a fitness coach now, or I've been a fitness coach. And they'll lean into all the things that make them more of a fitness coach. Like I do these fitness coaching things, so I'll lean into that and I'll show that. But a lot of our unfair advantages, a lot of our things that are actually reasons why people would choose us over anyone else is leaning into the things that make us not very much a fitness coach or not very much a this or that. Like the esoteric spiritual kind of side to me, and the the love of creativity for me is something that might be very different to many other business coaches. But that's the exact reason I lean into it. And 95% of people in the world will be completely repelled by that. But the beauty of polarity is the more you repel, the more you attract. There's going to be 5% of people that hear what I have to say and they like the idea of it, and it can't be got anywhere else, because it's an offer that I, and your offer as well, it's an offer that I can deliver better than anyone else because it's aligned. So alignment isn't just some soft, it's not just some soft, I want this to feel really nice. It's a business strategy at the same time. It's like, well, how can we make an offer that no one else can compete with you on? And also when it's aligned with your intrinsic motivators and everything else, you're very, very hard to beat. Like for a while in my, I fell into this trap a while ago. You know how messaging is always going to kind of evolve. Fell into this trap of talking about how in this model you barely have to work, because it felt like I was barely working, and you can get the business building stuff done in 2-3 hours a day, and it's true, but it was so misaligned to my truth because I work all of the time.
And you love to work,
and
all
I
the
love
time.
it, and it doesn't feel like work. And then I realized, and I caught myself, and I realized, no, wait a second, it's kind of that's actually. Physically, that's true. The business building stuff can be done in a very compact amount of time, but it doesn't I wouldn't want to buy that. the people that I'm going to gel with, I'm going to buy that. It's kind of the opposite. You will work more than most people, but you will not feel like you're working because you love the thing that you do, and it feels like your purpose as well.
Yeah. And I think the more you can put out who you are and how you think, feel, and operate and vibrate, right, you'll attract those people.
100%.
And it's being explicit in that, not being afraid. It's funny, I've got two conflicting metaphors, right? My mentor Ron, he says, do you know what the number one selling flavor of ice cream is in the world? Do you know what it is?
Vanilla.
Yeah. And then one of my clients and friends, Tony McAlevey, he was speaking on stage. I saw him speak, and he said, "You never want to be vanilla. You've got to be chocolate ice cream in your field." And they're both right, insofar as they're facts. But Ron, he's looking at things from a venture capital perspective of how big is that market and how can we exploit it and how can we grow it at scale. Whereas Tony's looking at it as saying, no, hang on, if chocolate is going to piss all of the strawberry and the vanillas off, that's okay. That's fine, because I'm going to own that, and I'm going to own me, and I'm going to lean into that flavor. And I think the more you come at peace with yourself, the more you come at peace with who you are and the things that you're interested in and things that you want to do, the easier it is to share those things. Now, you don't have to share everything, right, in a business context, or you have your own personal life and your own private life, and that's fine. I think people get so caught up, particularly on the internet today, is they feel they have to share everything. It's like those friends that are like, any piece of food you put into your mouth, there's a camera in your face. It's like, bro, like, chill out. It's a full English. It's like, yeah, but, or like, you start playing with your dog, and then they're like, I've got to catch this on video.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, relax, man. Like, put the camera away. You don't have to go to that extreme. But I think when you shed the layers of, I perceive myself to be this way, or actually these are some of my edges, unfair advantages, and I'm going to lean into them and love all those parts of me, then it becomes much easier to put those parts out of you out into the world.
100%. It's where business gets a lot easier, because there's so much less having to strategize around what does everyone want to see from me? Who does everyone want me to be? And instead asking yourself, like, who do I want to be?
Oh, don't open that.
Yeah.
Don't open that Pandora's box. Who am I?
Yeah. But who do I want to be? Like, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to help people with? And it's one of the things that we talk about when we create an offer. We talk about the aspirational identity. Like, who are we trying to become anyway? And this, for me, is a step towards being paid to exist. When you have this aspirational identity, mine is the aligned creator. When you have this aspirational identity that's in your marketing message that you're talking about, like, you're talking about inviting people into this, you have the more tangible elements as well that they get, but you also got this identity shift that you can step into being this person. You can almost create your own category of thing that people can become. When you have an aligned aspirational identity, which is like, you're going towards this identity anyway, and you're also allowing the clients, and you're talking about helping clients become that as well. You're basically being paid to exist, because you're living what you would do anyway. You're doing it to the best of your ability, and your own journey, the things that you're doing, are allowing you to actually create marketing content as well. And the other thing that we do inside an offer is look at unique mechanisms. We create a signature process, unique mechanisms, and again, no one really is going to come up with the best way to do it, full stop. There's no best way to build a business. There's no best way to get in shape. There's no full stop there. It can only be the best way for a certain subsection of people, which is why, in my case, knowing my unfair advantages, knowing my philosophies and what I want to live within, knowing my values such as creativity and stuff, I'm able to take that and be like, cool, what is the best business model for me that the people that are wired similar to me and have similar values, philosophies, will also really like? And I'm able to create the best way to build business for this certain subsection of people. So knowing yourself is so, and it goes the same for fitness, like the way that people are getting in shape. Like, we're always selling a what, but the way is so much more important when you're in a niche. Fitness, relationship, money, everyone's selling money or fitness or whatever else, but it's the way, So when you're able to know yourself and really look at like, why am I doing it this way? Why do I like to do it this way? That's where you're able to come up with a unique way that you're able to invite people into, and they have a reason to choose you over someone else. And eventually you get this unique offer that no one else offers but you.
Yeah. I mean, you're one of one, right?
Exactly.
Like there is no other Louis Calvert that operates, thinks, feels, and shares.
Exactly.
Where you are a particular enigma. Me and Dan were talking about this yesterday. It's like, you know, because me and Dan are pretty much on the same frequency. We're like, we have never met anyone with a frequency like you. I've never come across another Louis. And
That's cool to hear.
Yeah, that's an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
That's an unfair advantage, right? Because nobody can compete with that frequency of the radio station. But even me and Dan, whilst we are super aligned on pretty much most things, Dan's got experiences and I've got experiences that are still a slightly different frequency, and there are very small intricacies that are, whilst we have similar stories, they're also very different. And I think it's allowing yourself to feel into that and put that out into the universe, whether that's your business, that's your personal life. But you can only do that through the deep inner work of letting all your bullshit go.
Yeah.
And you've had to let go of a lot of
Not being
bullshit.
afraid to be seen.
Yeah.
Like as you really are.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the most fearful posts for a lot of people, they're not always the ones that are potentially polarizing. They're the ones that they're being seen the most, the one that they're teaching less and they're showing their actual experience more. So it's being able to lean into the uniqueness, knowing yourself first of all, and actually being able to lean into that and not being afraid, that is the key to actually be someone that people will choose over someone else. The problem a lot of people do is they're asking, okay, what's the market asking for? Who does the market want me to be? But in whenever it was 1860 or whatever, might be completely wrong, but the market was asking for faster horses. They wasn't asking for a car, but they didn't know what a car was at that point. As soon as someone came along with creativity and come up with, they're asking for a different thing, but I know this idea is better. I know this is gonna take off. Changed everything.
Yeah. Well, it's a better. They use creativity to create a better solution. Why do people use horses? They get tired and they want to get to places faster. Okay, if I can help them use less energy and get there even faster, more consistently, and doesn't leave shit all over the floor wherever it goes, I've got the Ford Model T.
Exactly.
Fancy some of that? Yeah.
Exactly.
I fancy some of that. Cool. Louis, mate, this has been a really fun. Some of the best conversations just happen off the cuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you want to shoot a podcast? You was like, all right, got my haircut, get that done.
Got my haircut. There we go.
Let's go.
Already booked in.
Mate, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Looking forward to seeing you at dinner later. Where can everyone find you? They want to get in touch.
So best place to find me is probably Instagram. Will you be able to put it below or something?
In the description?
Yeah. So Louis Joe Calvert on Instagram, LOUIS JoeCalvert. I suggest jumping on my email list. You'll be able to do that in the link. I send out an email every single day, freshly written, with my daily coffee. That's the best part of my day, and hopefully it can become a good part of yours as well. And find my YouTube as well. There's some good stuff on there.
Beautiful. Louis, mate, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Guys, if you like this episode, please do leave a comment. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. And if you found this episode helpful, just share it with someone. Infinite love. See you in the next episode.